Alberta, and welcome to Program Pride, and welcome back for our third season. Today we're at the Great Alberta Campout.
We are indeed.
Yeah, and there's more there's more pride flags and hats than I've seen for a very long time.
And isn't it exciting? And we have prideful flamingos and everything.
Yes. Maybe we should do a contest to name them all.
I think I wouldn't want to risk that here.
Okay.
I have been here since Friday afternoon at 4 o'clock, and you know, it was so full when we got here that we had to parallel park a giant 40-foot motorhome.
But you can do it.
We did it,
well,
yes.
Apparently they've exceeded all expectations. There's over 300 people here this weekend, and I think that's just incredible, you know, that they're here.
And the dance last night, there were even more people. There were cars lined up outside. It looked like, I would bet we hit 500 people.
Definitely, and they were all camping.
We had to go in shifts in that dance hall, and you had to dance with people you didn't even know. It was so crowded.
I think that's incredible. And we have an incredible show today, too. First up, we're going to go to an interview with David Freeman from ARGRA, which you talked to him a little while ago.
I did. And then we'll be talking about the AIDS walk. First of all, though, I think we're going to go with an interview that happened at the Calgary Folk Festival with Suzanne Jackett and the Wyrd Sisters.
Excellent.
I'm Suzanne here at the Calgary Folk Festival talking to two of the three Wyrd Sisters. Welcome, Kim and Nancy. Thank you for being with us today. Thank you. So, I think the first thing I'd like to start with is the name Wyrd Sisters. Where does that come from?
Sure, no problem. Everybody asks us. We had a gig. We formed like about 3 days and had a gig. We needed to come up with a name quickly, so Nancy was looking through names of goddesses and found Wyrd Sisters, which is a Saxon word. Fate was also the triple goddess. Fate, Mother, and Growth was one of the big cheese gods in pre-Christian times. Back when the Roman Christians came in and plagiarized everything, they stole the triple goddess and transformed her into the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. So
Actually, where the concept of the Trinity came from.
yeah, it was from the Wyrd Sisters. Almost every culture in the world has a form of the triple goddess. She was the one who gave birth and nurtured and destroyed. She was the giver and the taker and the protector. She was like the big cheese god. And then she had her lovers and sons and daughters and assorted other gods and goddesses. But she was like the cheese.
So, you guys are the cheese.
Well, I'm the cheese.
No, yeah, she's the cheese. Oh, she's the cheese. Oh, okay.
She thinks she is.
Okay, so you're really good. Okay. So the music, it's beautiful music. I love it. You have a new CD.
Coming out in a matter of weeks, yeah.
Okay.
Called Raw Voice.
Is there anything about Raw Voice?
It's a little bit more, we've taken a little bit more risks with this album, made, you know, more drums, more electric guitars, made it a little bit more rockier, you know, we're 40 now, and, you know, started feeding our oats, and it's still a political kind of music, but it's a more of a personal politics. It's more examining our relationships with each other and ourselves and searching for truth more than our previous stuff has been fairly in your face political. And that just happened by accident. Just the songs we decided to record just happened to be that way.
When you talk about, you know, the politics and the personal politics and messages, is there anything? What are the messages that you're trying to get out to people? And is there anything in terms of, you know, sexuality?
Oh yes, big good people. Therefore, we are sexual. Basically, when we started, we wanted to do music that we wanted to hear, that we weren't hearing, and we wanted to provide people that we knew with music that they wanted to hear. So we consider ourselves to be a voice for people like ourselves, and it's not unusual for people to come up and say, my brother's died of AIDS, or we write a song for him. I'm an incest survivor, and we write a song about this. And so we take those kind of messages, instances and messages, a message being stand up, fight back, take control, love, don't be afraid to love, don't be afraid to come out, don't be afraid to be in your face, don't be silent because you'll get shit on, basically. And that's pretty much our message, in a pretty way.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and that works for people, you know, sometimes you have to and sometimes it is in your face and sometimes it's not.
Which I think is, it's for us, a lot of the bases are covered by our different personalities. We write differently, we present things differently. Kim's a much more in-your-face kind of gal in general, and I tend to be more laid back or subtle or introspective. Yeah,
Polite.
yeah.
Kind.
I don't interrupt
Sweet.
people.
I'm just having
Gee,
Now, back to the plane and the folk festivals. Here, there's lots of men. I shouldn't say men in that sort of context, but are you noticing across the country that there's a disproportionate number of female?
that's always true. I mean, that's true in the music industry in general. I don't think it's just true in folk.
You know what we
Business.
don't see at all? Period. Gay men performers.
Yeah, it's
Never
great.
see.
Yes, very
Not-
rarely.
not
Yes,
this, not
I've
this
seen one or
genre.
two, but not that are really out.
Lots of dykes, lots of women performers are dykes, but overall, I was just telling somebody a couple of weeks ago we were at a festival and the producer of the festival was just having a fit because he had to put us on the same night as Quartet. And how can you have two women's band on the same night? My God, I mean, us and Quartet were like identical.
Yeah. We're so
Bored out of
similar.
our
Yeah.
faces.
I noticed that myself. That we
Oh,
It's a
that was
sign.
fun. Did you get that on film?
I missed
All
it.
right. Could we do that again, please?
Whoa. Okay, well, that is a message from
We'll keep on. So obviously we're on the
we're
right
on the right
topic.
track. Yes. Full clubs. You have full clubs in.
We have one folk venue in Winnipeg, and it's pretty much the only place for folk performers to play unless they want to do some kind of seedy little bar thing, which we don't do.
So there's a venue.
Just
Yeah.
because one of the thoughts
Very
that we've been, I guess, grappling with around Calgary is the idea of a women's folk club. That what do you think of that idea? Would it fly?
Well, you know where you'll run into problems is because we have mixed audiences, gay, straight, male, female, young, old, and we do play in certain places where there's a huge women's audience segment because like they're really hard up for music or something. Some of these places. Well, no, it's true. I mean, like you live in small town Saskatchewan, where are you going to find the kind of music you want to listen to? That was a good bar band. But the problems we find over and over again is like we'll pack a place out, but the owner will be mad because it's mostly women and they don't drink enough. So
Just where people make
I
their
think
money.
to make something like that fly, that people would have to be aware of that they're catering to a population that has a lesser than male income and probably has lesser than male tastes as far as alcohol and those big ticket items are concerned. And cater to like the crowd maybe provide child care and alternatives to alcohol. And then there's that smoke-free business too.
Smokers are.
Smokers. You mentioned children, and just quickly, because I know we have to wrap up in probably about 3 seconds here, but you mentioned children, and I understand you have 5
I
foster
have 5 teenage foster children.
teenage.
Yep, and I've been a foster parent for almost 10 years now. And, I'm well known for my foster parent abilities.
Yes,
And,
she's the most popular
I was
foster parent on the block.
Yeah, because I take difficult children, and I was very surprised to hear that gay people are not being actively pursued as foster parents. Because in my experience has been, for instance, a lot of foster children are abused and have difficulties dealing with males, and certainly there aren't going to be any guy coming into my place in the middle of the night drinking a beer, So it just boggles out my mind that a community could be so small-minded. As we're born nurturers. We're perfect.
Well, we're in Alberta, and hopefully politically we will be able to make some changes here, but it has been an issue.
Well, you
We are
feel
working.
free to tell whatever person is in charge of the foster parenting.
Give Kim a call.
Give me a call, or give my supervisors a call.
Well, thank you very much for spending the time with us today, and we look forward to hearing more of your fabulous music.
Thanks very much.
Hi, I'm Jackie May, and I'm from the Central Alberta AIDS Network, and I'm here with Michelle Sharpe from AIDS Calgary, and who also sits on the National AIDS Advisory Committee to talk about the AIDS Walk 97. I'll set it over to Michelle to start talking about the national scene first.
There's over 70 communities across the country that are walking on September the 28th. And this is the 4th, I believe, National AIDS Walk. This is the 4th for Calgary and Red Deer. It's
our second.
Right, okay. In Alberta, we've got Lethbridge, which is brand new as far as the national is concerned. We've got Calgary, of course. We've got Red Deer. We have Edmonton. Can't forget Edmonton.
No, can't forget Edmonton.
Calgary would like to, but we won't forget them. We've got Grand Prairie, and we've also got Yellowknife.
That's right. And there's one good thing about this year's walk is that this is the first year, and this is in New Brunswick, that they're holding a walk in a penitentiary there.
Right, that's really interesting.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. The neat thing about the walk is that it's national, but all the money that's raised stays local. So each local walk does a certain amount of the work, and the National Advisory Committee, along with the National Advisor, does a lot of the other work. What did you guys do different?
Well, this is the first year that Red Deer's ever been able to collect pledges. We have a slight problem with the United Way in terms of we're restricted on our funding. But we went to them this year and pleaded to let us have the walk and with pledges. So all pledges have to be in by September 18th. But our goal is to raise $4,000, which is a small amount, but it's a start, and to have 100 walkers. So the walk starts at 1 p.m. at City Hall in Red Deer. And then we go walk 3.5 kilometers on the sidewalk. We'd like to be on the streets raving, but we're on the sidewalk. And it ends at Rotary Park with a barbecue and a big social. So It should be a lot of fun. It'll be a really good event for Red Deer for this year. It's going to give us lots of exposure.
You guys have incentives like we do, right?
We're going to give sweatshirts away to some of the best pledgers, or the most money that they get. As well, we're going to have 2 nights in Jasper for those people that raise over $250. So it'll be really good. Yeah. And what about Edmonton? Or what about Calgary?
Edmonton. Don't say Edmonton. Calgary. Yeah, we have a registration fee this year. We've never done that before, but you do get something with your registration fee. It's $20 and it's payable on walk day. You get a hat, an AIDS Walk hat, not quite like this one, but pretty close. You also get a chance to win a trip for 2 to anywhere in North America that Air Canada flies. You also get a chance to win a trip for 2 anywhere in the world that Air Canada flies, along with a keychain and sweatshirts and Aldo Gap. There's a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah, and we'll have keychain as well that we're going to be selling there and giving away as well.
Right.
Yeah.
Entertainment. You got entertainment on your walk?
We're going to have 2 local alternative bands playing for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lots
They're
of
not
music.
confirmed, but we know they're coming.
Yeah. Whether they'll be walking, we don't know. What about dogs? Dexter, the
Yes,
Basset Hound.
Dexter's the mascot for the National AIDS Walk.
Right.
So bring your Basset Hound if you have one.
Or
Definitely.
reasonable facsimile.
Yes,
It doesn't have to be.
Or your Golden Lab.
We can register our dog. You can register a dog rather at the AIDS Walk Calgary. We have a Dexter lookalike. If you don't know who Dexter is, that's the dog you see on the service announcement. Very sweet dog. And we also have a top dog award. And we have bandanas and treats and pooper bags and all that kind of fun stuff. On our walk, and we've got food.
Are you having a barbecue?
No, but we've got a blister bash after the event at the Hard Rock Cafe. And we've got live music, and we've got celebrities speaking and lots of giveaways. And we've got the top team prize.
Well, I think Red Deer should come up there and party with you after.
Okay.
That sounds even more excitement.
Yeah. We're hoping for about 400 walkers, $50,000, $60,000. I think we raised $48,000 last year with about 400 walkers, so the more the merrier.
Are you guys marching on the street?
Well, actually, we take over the Bow River pathway, so we really don't hit the streets too much, which is nice, I guess. We don't have to worry about the street permits and things like that. But we get a lot of visibility from the public, and it's nice. And if we have good weather this year, like we should, it's been 4 years, we haven't had good weather. We have to have good weather, but be prepared.
Yes, be prepared. Bring your warm clothes, your hats, your toques, your mitts.
Right.
Definitely.
Yeah. Okay.
All right.
If anybody wants more information about the AIDS Walk, they can call 541-WALK in Calgary, and I'll give it to you about every place in the province.
That's right. We'll see you on the walk.
I'm here with David Freeman from ARGRA. David, this was the second year that I attended the rodeo, and it seemed way bigger than last year. How did you do?
We did really well. We had over 3,000 people to the Simons Valley site over the course of the weekend. About 1,200 people were to the dance on Saturday night. Approximately 500 people per day to the rodeo.
Oh,
and
amazing.
it was great. We had a really good time.
Well, one of the best dances that I'd been to for a long time, the entertainment that you had before dinner was fabulous.
We are really lucky to have very talented people in Calgary. They were all from Calgary, and most of the people donated their time and their expertise to us, so it was wonderful.
That's great. The other thing that I really liked was the addition of the Stampede Band, the Outriders, all of a sudden marching through the site, and we had people conducting from the rodeo grounds. It was great.
It was kind of a stroke of genius in a way from Judy, our rodeo director, decided that we'd better do something in case it rained.
Oh.
We wanted to make sure that people were going to stay around, and we were able to get that marching band, and they were wonderful.
Oh, they
Hope
were.
to get them again next year, or some band like that.
Right. I know that there's been lots of discussion around believe that ARGRA is making millions of dollars, and I know that you do a lot of things in the community to help other organizations. I know that you have lots of expenses. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Sure. Our budget for the rodeo this year was $110,000, I think. So there's a lot of fundraising we have to do to make that kind of money. We actually spent, I think it was $87,500.
Oh, man.
But, you know, it costs us over $10,000 for the stock, for example, and we have to pay for the site, and on and on and on. There's lots of expenses. But we probably, I think we're about $15,000 to the good at the end of everything. And we donate a fair amount of money to places like Beswick House or the Sharpe Foundation. AIDS Calgary gets tickets each year for their clients. This year we let the Lesbian mothers handle the donations for the parking, and I think that group made about $600. So there's little things that we do that do try and we try and put stuff back into the community.
But it's nice to see some of the gay and lesbian organizations becoming self-sufficient, that we're not always relying on money from outside, that we're being able to create that from within our own community. What about plans for next year? What are the dates of the rodeo? What's happening?
The rodeo is June.
June, good, okay, it's in June. 26,
27, and 28 at Simons Valley again. And we hope to make it a little bigger and better than it has been in the past. We had, I think it was 94 contestants this year, which was up from, we had 67 the year before. And we had a big increase in the number of women who are competing and local people. And we also had about 35 people, I think it is, from the U.S. who came up to compete, and from as far away as New Mexico.
Well, how big is this rodeo compared to some of the American rodeos, the gay and lesbian rodeos?
We are becoming probably one of the bigger ones on the circuit.
Wow.
We're about number 3.
Okay.
And we're the most fun rodeo, we are told by all the U.S. people.
Well,
that's why
you are.
we see an awful lot of American visitors coming up, and we think that's going to increase just from what we've heard already. We've got the campsite is fully booked in the serviced area at Simons Valley right now. So
for next year already. Wow.
So it's into the overflow camping facilities.
And so how do we get our reservations in if we want to be there, be part of all of this?
Well, you should book a campsite now with Simons Valley.
Okay.
And if you just look in the Calgary phone book or call the ARGRA hotline, which I, of course, don't have the number with me here.
Okay. We'll see if we can get that.
5418140, I think is what it is.
Okay.
But I don't know.
We'll look it up.
Yeah,
we'll look it up.
Look it up. But we'll have promotional material out by the 1st of January, which will give all the details on the next year's rodeo.
Oh, that's great. And so we'll have lots of advance notice.
You bet.
Okay, thank you very much for taking time in this nice rainy afternoon we have to sit down with us.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
So I'm going to tell you a coming out story. But it starts when I was just a little kid and I realized that I was different. But I knew I was different and special at the same time. And my grandfather, he used to call me Rolf. And I had so much fun running around, being amusing. But when I became more adult, when I was aware of sexuality and sort of in tune with all the rules that start to come into play, I realized that I was quite different and that I wasn't the way I was supposed to be. And I wanted to fit into the formula that was already made for me, that everyone was expecting of me. I remember that I had lots and lots of girlfriends and actually almost got married. I lived in the country up in northern Alberta, So it was difficult to meet or know any other gay people. I thought I was the only one in the whole world. Anyhow, I went to a big campfire party one night, and there were about 300 people outside. And there was a young fellow there, and he was kind of dressed in his Elton John look. And everyone was screaming, "Kill the fag, kill the fag." And I thought, gee, I better not let anyone ever know about me. However, by the time I got a few years older after that, I was about 17, by the time I was 21, I decided that I really couldn't live this duality where I was being someone that I wasn't and yet not being myself, because I felt I deserved to be myself. And I told my parents, they were divorced, so I went to my mother first, and she said, "Doesn't matter, I'll always love you." And of course my father said, "Well, you're just going through a phase, you'll get over it." And of course he's never gotten over it. So the first time I ever came out, I found a gay bar on my own, didn't know where any were, and I bought some brown theatrical makeup. Of course I was younger and cuter then, and slimmer, and I made a Tarzan kind of outfit, painted my whole body brown, and came out on Halloween. And that's my coming out story.
This is a picture of Rolf as a baby. When you look at a picture like this, I kind of wonder, what in the world could we possibly be prejudiced against a child or treat him differently? What kinds of things could we ever think of to try and be angry or mean to this child?
Yeah, we were talking in the break, and it's quite interesting when you look at babies or young children, because you have all these hopes and expectations for them. And when people come out, all of a sudden these hopes and expectations change in some people's eyes. But I mean, when we're looking at the big picture, it seems kind of ludicrous that someone's sexual orientation or who they choose or who they love would have any bearing on what their future is. And I think that's why it's so important to come out and share stories like Rolf did with us.
And I think I was very surprised, actually, even at the campout, when we started to talk to people about the possibility of sharing coming out stories, how afraid people were. And people would start to tell me their stories right away, and there'd be a lot of emotion in their voice, and I knew they wanted to talk, but they were so frightened of coming out on the camera. And people, the first thing they would say was, "Oh, wouldn't my mom like that?" or "Wouldn't my boss like that?" or "What if my sister heard that?" It was just so sad to think of the paranoia.
And it's unfortunate that we're still living in a situation where people are scared to do that. Because I think every time you come out, someone else goes, because a lot of homophobia occurs when people can say, "I don't know someone who is gay, lesbian, bisexual," or "I don't know what they would do," or they can, create them as other than.
Right. Well, and I think that it's really interesting when we start to talk to people in the community, too, about that homophobia being internalized.
Definitely.
I remember
yes.
for years I had a government contract to work with kids, and I never wanted to come out because I thought if I did that, I would lose the entire contract and I'd lose my career. And so finally, after 8 years, I finally decided to tell someone within the organization that funded us. And so I set up this big luncheon, and we were sitting around, and I was so nervous, and said, "There's something I need to let you know. You might hear about it in the community." And when I finally said I'm a lesbian, this woman looked at me and she said, "We know. We've all known for years." But that was inside me. It was my fear. And I think that that's a sad thing, too, when we don't recognize, or we can't recognize, the difference between external and internal homophobia.
Yeah, because I think both of them can be paralyzing to you in a number of different ways. And all that potential is stifled for a long time.
When we can get unstifled, because we have October the 11th coming out, which is National Coming Out Day. And it's been established in the States. It started at a university where people are actually using that day to make a statement about being gay or lesbian.
And it's really interesting because it can be a day for you to come out to a friend or family or a coworker, but it can also be something really exciting because what it happens in the States is a lot of famous people will say, "I'm gay." Greg Louganis came out on Coming Out Day about 3 years ago. And it can also be a time on a local level that if you are already out, or even if you're not, you can make statements to, say, your local newspaper or things like that, and challenge them about the coverage they do of gay and lesbian, bisexual events, or about the attitudes that are prevalent or things like that. And I think it's a great time to make a stand and to know that throughout the world, other people are standing up and being proud about who they are and just coming out and letting other people know that.
Right.
And knocking down those homophobic walls.
Well, and I think that it's interesting to note, too, that at our Community Services Association, as well as at Edmonton, we're starting to find more and more parents actually contacting us and saying, I think my daughter or my son is gay, and how do I approach them and tell them that it would be okay if they tell me? So there's some really exciting things to celebrate.
Yeah, I think that's wonderful. Speaking about celebrations, I believe that there's been a new addition, too.
Oh, yes, I have a brand new nephew. My sister and her girlfriend had a child 3 months ago, so we're very, very proud of that.
And a new viewer, maybe.
And perhaps a new viewer. We'd like to say thanks to ARGRA for the fire pit that they kindly donated to warm the audience and all the participants in the show. And we'd certainly like to thank the Great Alberta Campout for allowing
GALACA
us,
and their organizers,
for allowing us to be here and to film.
And be surrounded by hundreds of people.
Oh, isn't
Who would
this
have
been
thought
great?
that these many people would want to come camping? It's just wonderful.
Like heaven. Finally, I guess on a more somber note, we have to mention that Calgary will not be receiving our program with the Shaw Network, as Shaw is being totally revamped and won't be using small independent programs like this one. So you'll have to drive all the way to Red Deer or to Edmonton to be able to catch us.
But I do believe you may be able to see parts of Program Pride, but not necessarily in its entirety on the Shaw system.
Okay,
So maybe call them and say, there's no longer Program Pride, but we'd love to have some gay and lesbian content.
What happened to all those gay and lesbians in this city or in this
province? Are you covering the walk this
Yeah.
year? And things like that.
So have a nice fall, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, thanks for watching.
Yay!
Bisexual. Transgender.
Gay.
Lesbian. Bisexual. Transgender.